Are the Celtics coming unglued? My name is Mike Petraglia, joined again by Chris Grenham and Josue Pavon inside the Garden after the Celtics were humiliated by the Milwaukee Bucks, 120-107. This Garden Report is brought to you by Action Heat. Action Heat keeps you toasty and warm with its comfortable wear throughout the winter months. Save 20% on your order by going to actionheat.com/garden or use the promo code Newsfeed. All right, guys, we waited from the end of the game on Friday night, 10:32, until the locker room opened. The Celtic locker room didn't open until 36 minutes later at 11:08, and boy, when it did, we got a sense that the Celtics, as Kyrie Irving said, are not a cohesive unit. He said it several times during his address to the media. This team is in trouble right now, and Kyrie Irving wasn't mincing words.
I mean, you could feel it when you walked into the locker room. You know, you walk into a room, you can read the room, you can get a feel.
Sure.
It was relatively uncomfortable, in my opinion. It was intense. It was quiet. There wasn't many people talking. And, of course, Jaylen Brown came to the scrum first, and the immediate question was, what took so long? Was there a players-only meeting? You know, what happened? And he said it was a discussion that was much needed, and it's going to continue over the next couple of weeks. It was coaches included. It wasn't, a players-only meeting.
Right.
But it's clear there's some issues in this locker room right now, and you could tell just from talking to Kyrie Irving, from talking to Jaylen Brown, and there's a need for cohesion, but that cohesion really isn't there right now.
You were right off to the side, Josue, and you heard Kyrie say, I can do anything I want. Doesn't mean I'm going to do anything I want, but I can do anything I want out there. Those words are going to ring alarm bells across Celtic land.
Yeah, I don't really have a problem with it, believe it or not. I just think it's...
You don't?
I don't. I think Kyrie Irving is just very frustrated with this team. Obviously, everyone in the locker room had a lot to say, had a lot on their mind. I love the fact that Jaylen Brown said, look, this is a discussion that we had to have. We need to have a few more of this, because I think maybe it was a discussion where people were finally honest. People were finally open about how they felt. And Kyrie Irving sort of carried over that conversation to the media. Maybe he shouldn't have. Maybe it's a bad look. But, I mean, let's face it. Kyrie Irving is the leader of this team, whether we like it or not, whether we think that he's not a great leader. He is a leader who's still trying to figure things out.
But is that something that a leader should be saying? Like, what is he getting? I understand the point he's trying to make. It's that, he's one of the best point guards on the planet. He can do whatever he wants.
Actually, he's
on the
right.
floor. He is right, and he can do that. But what is he getting by saying that to the media, by putting that out there? What is the point? That's not going to do anything good, him going out there and saying, yeah, I can do anything I want, but I'm not going to. What is he getting by doing that?
I think he's just trying to get the motivation out of his teammates. And maybe that's not the best way from our point of view, but maybe that's what he needed to do to get other guys involved, to get guys better, focused into what they need to do to become a better team. The cohesion, the same things that we heard from Jaylen Brown, the same thing that we heard from Jason Tatum. I just think this is a discussion that, again, everyone was open, everybody was honest, and it's something that they're going to have to continue to have. And I just think the frustration boiled over because he's just sick and tired of,
being sick and tired.
Being sick and tired and hearing these same questions. What's going on? What did you guys talk about? I mean, listen, it just happened. This is minutes after.
Yeah.
Let's just say maybe it was a heated debate. Maybe it was a big, some words were exchanged. Maybe there were some words exchanged his way that he didn't like, and it carried over. It's not a good look, but at the end of the day, I think for someone who obviously has been there, who's been in the championship, he's obviously been in those type of rooms. We know the turmoil that the Cleveland Cavaliers had to go through, even after they won the championship. We know the friction that happened throughout that group. So I think he knows better than anyone that these type of things happen for a championship caliber team, or one that's at least chasing one.
As we wrap it up real quickly here, I want to make a point that Kyrie made several times toward the end of his discussion with reporters. Right now, you can see we're a selfish team. And there's selfish play going out there, some selfish play going on out there. The other thing I want to bring up, the coaches took part in this meeting as well, which is highly unusual. Usually you see a quote-unquote players-only meeting. That's not what this was, and I have a theory on that. I think some of the leaders as players wanted the coaching staff in there so that perhaps the message could get across that the coaching staff has to put the metal to the pedal, the pedal to the metal, and really step on even some of the younger players.
I mean, we said it before when we were discussing this off camera. Brad Stevens is a relatively passive coach. I mean, of course, he's a great coach, but he's not one to get in a player's face and say, you got to step up, and especially with a young group like this. So maybe that's the disconnect, but I think it is very relevant to bring up the fact that the coaches were involved in this meeting.
And I think there has to be urgency, and that's really the bottom line here. And I asked Jaylen Brown, I asked Jason Tatum and Kyrie, is there a lack of urgency? And, Jaylen was kind of elusive in his answer. But Jason Tatum kind of acknowledged, yeah, maybe, we read our press clippings a little bit too much. We need to play with more urgency.
Again, I think it boils down to honesty. It's good to have a coach or at least a couple coaches in there so they can actually hear how these players feel, how they feel about their role, how they feel about, what they need to do to make the team better. I think that's a good sign. That there's at least a coach or two who knows maybe it's not Brad Stevens, but maybe it's someone that can relay some information to Brad and get these guys on the same page. That sort of honesty, I think, is going to go a long way. And I think it's a positive thing that we could see out of this team, or it could go the other way. But this is a conversation, a discussion that needed to be had, and maybe we'll see a few more down the road. Maybe not like this in this instance, but maybe when we start seeing positive effects from this team, we can say to each other, okay, they're continuing to be honest with each other, and now they've figured out their roles.
Okay, this 4-game homestand wraps up with a game against Charlotte on Sunday, and then, of course, Christmas afternoon against the hot Philadelphia 76ers. They have 2 games on this homestand to start figuring things out and getting things going in the right way. Garden Report has been brought to you by Action Heat. Action Heat keeps you warm and toasty throughout the winter months with their winter wear. Be sure to go to actionheat.com/garden for 20% off your order, or use the code NEWSFEED. Inside TD Garden, for Josue Pavon and Chris Grenham, I'm Mike Petraglia, CLNS Media.